Hey everybody, and welcome to the Shufflebus. This is going to be my round one matchup for the Shufflebus Tournament Season 2 against Red King playing Echo. I'm just going to get right into it. Going into this match, I spent a little time looking at his deck list. His deck list is pretty interesting. It's all Iron Rhino centric. Um, so when you look at my first five, I choose to put my one of Seal in there. You know, my thinking being that if I go into this match and I just don't let him untap a Rhino, I'm going to be doing pretty good. You'll see that I start with my normal books, um, and the one of Seal, and you'll also see I take some time here to think about the Gilder because I only have the one Charm dice, so I can't Gilder and Seal. Ultimately, I decide that Gilder book round 2 is going to be good. Um, but like I said, going into this match, looking at his deck list, he has a ton of untaps. He has two refreshes. He has the three Chaos Gravities. He has Flute Mage. And so I figure I'm just going to chump block the 7/5, take the 2 overkill uh, every turn, except for the first one where I seal it, and kill it before it can untap. Looking at the fadeaways aren't good um, because I don't want to let him have it the whole turn. And I think I end up on a Fester here. Assuming I'm going to hold it for round 2. Yep. Um, to try to kill the Rhino before it even attacks once. Having the Gilder book and the Aradel, I should be able to get a damage on it and Fester it. And obviously the possibility of nature power action. So here we go. We both rolled the same number of basics, and we re-rolled. I rolled 4 basics here. And I think I chose to go first. Yep, looks that way. And this turn, I'm just playing a book out. I can't play the Gilder book because I know I'm going to seal. I can't play the Bear book because I know that I am going to uh, need to meditate for that. So I just played the Demon book, meditated a couple times. I meditate up to the Fester dice just in case. Doing it now is the same as doing it next turn if I don't play the Fester this round, because I'll just keep the dice. We'll see what happens. So he plays Iron Rhino book, which we pretty much knew was going to happen. I was happy to see that Neil go by in meditation there. And I noticed that he meditates up to a snake. Um, so I'm just going to go ahead and seal the book here. This really takes a lot of wind out of his sails round 1, because he only has 4 allies in the deck total, and a Salamander Monk book. So that's the only pressure he can put into play this turn. I assume he started book. I'm not sure at this point what allies he started, but I know the allies in his deck without the Rhino in play are not as good as the summons that I will be making. Okay, so next turn he plays a Resonance, side action. deciding what to pay so he can bring a couple back. And he returns a horse, and it looks like a frog. Yep. And he passes main, which I'm fine with. I'm just going to play my game now. Play the Frostback Prayer Book. And he can pass all he wants here. I don't think he passes much more, but looks like we're getting some more meditates. A refresh and Chaos Gravity. Here, I'm looking at his discard pile. So I don't actually have that many actions left this round because I know the Gilder Book is for next turn. I really wanted the Gilder Book because of its interaction with Fester. But neither of us have like a full power round one. So I meditate again. Here I'm meditating so I can make the demon. He plays his one of String Mage, which I had to read because I haven't seen one in play in a long time. And he essentially just makes like a 3-dice 2/3 here. Because like I said, he just doesn't have a lot of gas outside of the 7/5. So the String Mage just becomes like a 2/3 for me to, I don't know, do stuff with. I'm not particularly afraid of that. But to his credit, he did first 5 it under the assumption that I was gonna seal him round one, like just in case, because he literally doesn't have anything else to do when that happens. So it looks like me meditating for the Fester dice there was actually bad because I ended up spending it as a basic dice for the Illusionary Demon. And I just make a 2/2. I'm not particularly afraid of his nonsense, so at least at this stage of the game. When he gets Rhino in play, I'm more scared, but for right now, like he frogs a demon and I attack. Just making sure that I get my demon value before he frogs it again. He's gonna stop and think about it. At this point, I don't have any idea what's in his hand. Because he just hasn't played anything, I guess. Plays a puts a Chaos Gravity on the table and picks it back up. So now I know he has a Chaos Gravity. That was pretty likely, though. Chaos Gravity obviously being a very powerful card. If I was playing Echo, I would want to start a Chaos Gravity too. Okay, so there's the Frog, which I figured was going to be a side action for this turn, and it looks like a pass. So So I just attack with Prospect Bear. I think I attack his Flute Mage here, um, because I don't care if I put 2 damage on my Prospect Bear, and I'll just frog the thing away then. And uh, yep, so I have my 2/1 in play now, and he has no nature dice left. This does put me in a position where if he rolls a frog on one of his 2 nature dice, he can get my Prospect Bear as a side action at the beginning of next round, but it's not high probability. If I get another 2 damage out of this Prospect Bear, I'm going to be very happy. So here we pass. It'll be his round to go first. Like I said, neither of us had a really efficient round. We both had dice left over and cards left over, but everything was going according to the plan I had for this game, so I was feeling pretty good about it. I had a really strange roll here with the only one class, 5 basics and 4 power. And I didn't draw particularly well. Like I said, looking at the first 5 decisions, I don't think Fade Away is very good in this match because the Rhino, like, I need to kill it before it attacks more than once. And like I was saying, I did dodge the first turn frog here, so my bear is going to get some value. And it doesn't have to be right away if he decides not to meditate here. He's spending 4 dice. I assume that he's just going to summon a Rhino. I don't think there's anything else in his deck that costs 4 dice. So, yep, there's the 5th. Make a 7/5. Iron Rhino is a cool card. It's a lot of payoff if you get to actually utilize the guy. It's also a lot of work to get it to where it's at. So, no side action. I know my bear's still safe now. He doesn't have anything in his deck that will kill it besides Frog Ping, so I am meditating because I want to be able to use illusion power dice on his snakes before I uh, spend any of my removal spells. So I just went full illusion powers, knowing that I wanted to make a demon here. The reason I did that is because I'm not sure where I want to spend my nature dice yet. Otherwise, I probably would have made a Frostback Bear. But I don't think that the demon ping is very important in this match. So it's generally just a 2/2. So I'll make a 2/2. I'll block the Rhino. I just had to have a 2 life unit to block with, and blocking with 2/2 is better than blocking with 2/3. So he had a Nature's Wrath. He could have killed my bear, but he chose to discard it to meditate instead. Um, Looking at my hand here, the way I think this turn is going to play out, I Molten Gold the Rhino instead of festering it. Um, After obviously illusion powering the possible Golden Veil away. Just because I want to use my dice more efficiently. Fester in a future turn can be cheaper, So since I know that essentially the only nature options I have now are Summon Frostback Bear, Aradel, and Summon Gilder in my hand, and I probably won't have to do all of those things. Um, it's good. So here's his opportunity to frog my bear. He did force my hand with the kill the Rhino, so I didn't get the extra value out of this, but it did end up costing him some of his turn and some of his dice, and I still have a Frostback Bear to make. Um, Here I'm just playing Gilder Book. I want him to commit the rest of his dice if he has to before I start making guys. He's just passing, so that's all fine. Um, I'm thinking about how to spend my dice here because I still may want to leave that goat for the next turn fester, but I decide not to. Make my bear. I decide that keeping the wolf may be important. I don't know. That doesn't seem right to me. I think I should have kept the ceremonial dice there to hold for next round. I discard a fadeaway. Like I said, I don't think they're good in this matchup. To meditate, and I attack with bear. He discards another Nature's Wrath to meditate. I don't know what I'm thinking about here. I feel like I need to, yeah, just make a Gilder. And I'd rather have the O2 in play and miss on the ping, just because I know that Gilder is uh, able to block Rhino. Unlike the terrifying units, the massive units are based on life, so the 0-2 is really good to block the Rhino. Obviously, still taking 2 from the overkill, but uh, so then we pass out. He keeps 3 of his dice. I keep my wolf. I rolled a ceremonial power, so I'm very lucky. I was not punished for that. It's my turn to go first, so I think I should have, and I said this after the match to him, I think I was supposed to discard the fadeaway there to my draw step to draw an additional card, because I just don't think fadeaway is good. I think it's a very good card. I don't think it's good in this matchup. So I play second Gilder Book. Just making plays, letting him kind of take his time to do what he's got to do. Because against a Rhino deck, you get ahead on dice really fast. Because obviously they spend half their turn making a 7-5. All right. So Red King in the tank. Choked my Aradel, which I think is really good. The choke is a card that there's a lot of in our tournament, and I think it's definitely warranted. It's a lot better than I originally gave it credit for. Okay, and I think this is the Rhino. He's spending a lot of dice, so must be a 7-5. And by choking the Aradel last turn, he did stop me from uh, Aradel plus Fester, but I wouldn't have done that anyway. because I want to frog the, not frog, I want to wolf his charm dice beforehand. Um, because I assume he has a Golden Veil. We'll just let him attack me. I'll block with a Gilder, take 2, and kill him before it untaps. Stay right on the plan. Yep, and there it is. I put an Inheritance counter on my Frostbite card that doesn't actually mean anything. Um, so here's the Illusion Power. This time I even get a Frog with it if I want. Yep, and a Fester. This being what the deck was designed to do, where it just makes some reasonable threats out of its books. Not great, but pretty good, good enough. And deal with their board through action spells. Um, he discards a call to action to flip back to a snake, which I'm okay with. His snakes without the Rhino in play are not very good. And there's discarding the third Nature's Wrath to make second snake. And now I'm off to the races. I got essentially no cards in hand. Like it's possible that I play the Ice Trap, but unlikely. What I should have done was attack before I made this bear, playing around Chaos Gravity, because Chaos Gravity starts getting wacky if you put a bunch of guys in play. So I send the bears. Now we're at a point where I don't need to play around Chaos Gravity anymore because it's gonna mess me up regardless of the order of things I do in now. And in fact, I do believe he plays it this turn and gets 2 counters on both my bears. Doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna keep activating books and putting men into play. So there's my Illusory Demon. He shrinks it, just spending his snakes to gain some life. Which is okay. I'm not sure how much life it actually gains him in the long run because he did meditate to both those snakes, so uh, it decks him faster. All right, here's the Chaos Gravity. He gets to add 1 to a bear and move 1 to a bear. Which is good. I mean, that card's very powerful. And here I'm going to discard that last fadeaway that I've talked about a couple times to make a frog so that I can summon Butterfly Monk. And I attack him with my 2 guys because he did untap my demon for me. Um, the snake putting in extra work when I get to attack twice. I'll put a Gilder into play. Aradel's battlefield is so big that I'm not really worried about it. There's only 2 demons and only 2 bears, so I know I'm not getting another bear next turn. I only have 1 more demon and 1 more butterfly monk. So I'm not like locking myself out with these Gilders. Then I cheat a little bit. I take some counters off my bears, but I'll put them back. I'm not actually a cheater. There we go. Um, so I'm feeling pretty good about this. I got the squad. Uh, he has Kneels in his deck, so like this is a good time for that, but because I believe that it's his turn to go first. I take a quick inventory of the deck numbers. I don't think that this game's going to decking, but he is getting pretty low. There's one of the Neils. I know one went earlier, so still possible he has one in his hand, but I think he probably would have just like windmill slammed it onto the table if he did have it. So he plays. So so here's where I screwed up this game. Um, I was so just like comfortable in where we were at in the game that I just didn't even draw cards for my draw step. And he shared Sorrow's my demon, and then he gets back a Neil, and then I'm like, oh, I should have drawn cards. Whoops. And one of the cards I drew was actually um, a shield, so I could have saved that demon uh, with the particle shield. Good job, me. Not only was I cheating by skipping my draw step, I also was playing poorly by not having the particle shield to save my 2/2. But here I just attack with my butterfly monk. I know he got the kneel back, and so I want to get my value out of the monk before it gets tapped out. I'm not in any rush to kill him or anything. He's going to deck first. I've got a squad of guys. Neil doesn't double tap my guys, so getting the attack in is good and makes the Neil ineffectual, knowing that I will be going first next round. Here I'm just counting the number of uh, dice I think I'm going to need and meditating a couple. Like I said, I don't think that this game at this point is going to go to decking, so the meditations are pretty free. And he's in a rough spot because I have the double wolf here, so that if he does attack with his rhino, again, we'll chump block it. I'll wolf his snakes down, and then I will two shadows it. I did find it strange that he made the wolf or the wolf. He made the rhino before he kneeled. And now spending that divine dice, I know he's not going to kneel. And I have my full 10 dice and 5 books to play with here, so I can't make a bear though because of conjuration limit, so I just make another 2/2. Totally fine. Uh, he plays a root armor, which is good, but uh, I can still block it and I can still two shadows it, so not super worried. I know that I have at least 5. If the turn ends here, the only thing I could see that he could have at this juncture that would affect the board at all is a sympathy pain that he doesn't actually have in his list. So uh, I know that his 2 charm dice are not going to stop me. So So I just attack here. I want to get my 2 damage in, and if he blocks, I can fire off the 2 shadows, which I think was actually a misplay because he does block. I'm like, oh, I get to 2 shadows it now, everything going according to plan. But I forgot about that I'm supposed to wolf first. So he does have the Golden Veil, of course, having drawn many cards, and having 3 Golden Veils in his deck. But it's not the end of the world. Um, the thing is tapped. He's only got 1 Charm Dice left, so I don't believe he can untap it. And I still have 100 things to do. I make a Butterfly Monk. A card that I've been really impressed with so far is Butterfly Monk. Does some cool stuff. So he passes back, I attack with Butterfly Monk. Passes back again, and I pass. So again, not a very efficient turn for me, leaving a bunch of dice on the table, but here I'm very close to winning, so I discard a Particle Shield and an Ice Tap to draw. I don't think either of those cards are good, at least in this situation. Because I know I have Molten Golds left in my deck, and I just want the highest chance to draw 1 because I have 5 damage that will get through on my swing here, and that'll put him in Molten Gold range. Obviously has the option to stop a bear or just go to 1. Yep, so bear down, he blocked, that's fine. And I will be meditating for the Molten Gold win here. So, like I said, going into the game, the plan was seal round 1, then block in the additional rounds, and get him here. We were discussing he could do a lot of damage to me because he can remove the counter from his, put a counter on one of my guilders, and then move a counter from a Butterfly Monk to one of my guilders because Butterfly Monk can't block the Rhino because he's small and Rhino's big. But him being at 3 and me having the Molten Gold, I would go to 4 and he will go to 0. Overall, I think Red King's deck is really sweet. I hope that he has continued to do well in the tournament. It looks like he is. Oh, he must have won his other 2 matches. But it was an interesting game for sure. This is exactly the kind of deck that my deck is meant to battle, where I create a board state and am able to control his smaller board state very easily. And just essentially do what I did, attack with 2/2s for the win. So that's all for my round 1. Thank you so much, Red King. It was excellent playing against you. Thank you so much for your participation in the tournament. Thanks everyone that watches this. Please give us a like or a subscribe or a notification bell click if you want more stuff on YouTube or we will still be streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern time. Um, so come back and see us. If you have any notes or comments, please leave them in the video or hit us up on social media. But I appreciate everybody watching, and we'll be back with more content.